Hello and welcome back to Anonymous Diaries. My name is Evelyn, and we are a safe space for stories that need to be heard. Tonight, we open a page on a deeply personal story. It's a story of a bond that was supposed to be unbreakable, that of a father and his children. But what happens when that bond is not just broken, but outright denied? This is a raw, honest look at abandonment, silent resilience, and the difficult question of whether it's ever too late for a second chance. Our narrator, who we'll call Grace, needs honest reviews and sincere answers. Please listen to her full story and let her know what you think in the comments below. As always, to protect everyone's privacy, the story you're about to hear has been rewritten and is narrated by an AI voice actor. Now, let's listen to Grace's story in her own words.
I am writing this with a heart that feels a little heavy, not because I enjoy picking at old wounds, but because I need to hear from neutral voices. The people around me have their opinions, but I need to know if I am wrong for feeling the way I do. Hi everyone, my name is Grace. Please, before I continue with my story, kindly like and hit the subscribe button to help my story reach more people. Thank you. The world I knew as a child was small, warm, and centered around my mother. That world fractured when I was barely 5 years old. I don't remember the sound of the final argument or the sight of my father packing his bags. I just remember the quiet that followed, a heavy, confusing silence that settled over our home. My father was there one day, and the next, he was just a ghost in old photographs. My mother, God bless her soul, is a woman carved some pure grace. She never once poisoned our minds against him. In our small community in Lagos, whispers would follow us, and aunties would make passing comments about our runaway father. But anytime someone spoke ill of him in our presence, my mother's voice would become firm. No matter what she'd say, looking at my brother and me, he is still your father. She wanted to preserve an image of him for us, even if he wasn't there to earn it himself. She is a deeper lifer, a woman who chooses peace even when life offers her a battle. But peace doesn't pay the rent. Reality was a harsh teacher. My father moved on, remarried, and started a whole new family, a whole new life, as if we were a chapter he had simply torn out of his book. We ended up in a single cramped room in my uncle's house. It was his act of kindness that kept a roof over our heads. Through all those years of my childhood, all the birthdays he missed, all the school events he never attended, he never once came to look for us. Not a single visit, not a single phone call. When I was a teenager, a desperate longing to hear his voice consumed me. I begged my mom until she finally, reluctantly, gave me his phone number. With trembling hands and a heart pounding in my chest, I dialed. "Hello?" A man's voice answered, rough and unfamiliar. "Hello, Dad? It's me," I said nervously. There was a long pause on the other end. He said, "Okay," and that was it. He never asked how I was. He never asked about my brother or my mother. He never called me back. I kept trying, my foolish hope refusing to die, but after a few more calls, he just stopped picking up. The silence on his end became a clear message. You are not welcome here. The doubt began to creep in. "Mama," I asked her one evening, "are you sure he is really my father?" She looked at me, her eyes full of a pain I couldn't understand, and whispered, "He is." But his actions screamed a different truth. One day, out of pure frustration, my brother called him and challenged him. The reply my father gave him was a sentence I will never forget. It felt like a knife to the heart. His voice was clear and loud. I heard it with my own ears on speakerphone. He declared, "I am not your parent. I dashed you people to your mother. Go and continue your life with her." He dashed us, like we were old property to be discarded. In that moment, the man who was supposed to be our father erased us from his life with a few casual, brutal words. We held each other after the call ended, my brother and we cried. We cried for the father we never had and for the rejection that finally felt absolute. When the tears dried, we wiped our faces, looked at each other, and made a silent pact. We would move on. We would build our own lives without ever looking back. And we did. Life wasn't easy. I had to drop out of university at the 200 level. The struggle was just too much. But I found my strength. I poured my energy into my tailoring business and it began to flourish. Then, I met a wonderful man. When we decided to get married, the issue of my father came up. My mother, the woman who carried us alone, who never remarried or abandoned us, simply gave her blessings and said, "Let them go and pay everything there." It was my bride price she was referring to be paid to my father. So the same man who denied us, who told us we were not his children, showed up to the marriage rites and collected the bride price and every traditional payment, his face a mask of false fatherly pride. The irony was a bitter pill to swallow. Now, my life is good. I am married into a loving, wealthy family. My business is thriving. My husband, a man who sees my potential, has promised that after our baby is born next year, I'll go back to school and finish my degree. God is finally writing my story with lines of joy and success. And then, the phone rings. It's him, my father. Suddenly, after all these years of silence, he wants to talk. He says he wants to ask for our forgiveness, but his words feel hollow to me. His timing too perfect. It feels like he's seen me on social media, heard through the grapevine that I'm doing well. He sees the comfortable life, the successful business, and now, suddenly, reconciliation is a priority. This doesn't feel like remorse. It feels like a strategy. Am I wrong for keeping my distance? Am I wrong for protecting my peace and feeling like his sudden change of heart is driven by opportunity, not love? Or should I listen to that small voice that sounds like my mother telling me to let the past bury itself and give him another chance? I truly need your honest opinions. What do you think?
Wow, Grace, thank you for sharing such a vulnerable and powerful story with us. What a heavy burden to carry. On one hand, there is the universal desire for family and forgiveness. On the other hand, there is the deep, instinctive need to protect the peace you have fought so hard to build. This is where I turn it over to the Anonymous Diaries community. We have a few key questions to consider. First, is our narrator's suspicion justified? Is the timing of her father's return a major red flag, or could it be a genuine, late-in-life realization of his mistakes? Second, what does forgiveness mean here? Does it mean welcoming him back into her life completely, or can she forgive from a distance while maintaining firm boundaries to protect her family and her heart? And finally, what practical advice would you give her? If you were in her shoes, what would be your very first step? Please share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. Let's offer her the neutral, honest, and supportive voices she is looking for. And if you have a story you'd like to share, you can always reach us at the email in the description. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.